How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Solution Seekers. It's me, Kelly, once again. My apologies, I haven't been able to upload anything new in the last week, last 8 or 9 days. Life, man, physical pain. Ah, but why not me? I'm not exempt. But what I've really learned is that I can't see my situation because I'm in the frame. Most of my issues are uniquely mine, and there's a certain level of emotional attachment to pain, discomfort, opposition. But at the end of the day, it becomes an opportunity for some type of personal growth, personal development, and just realizing just how much can you tolerate. You know, I found out that I can tolerate a whole lot. But I think tolerating a whole lot comes at an extreme expense. And sometimes me personally, I don't really see the expense until after the fact. Spiritually de- depleted, emotionally depleted, physically in a deplorable situation, just wiped out. And I don't even know why, but it's just life, and we're presented with some challenges, and that I like to associate those challenges with my sense of purpose. My purpose is part of my foundation, part of my mission is finding out what my purpose is. Tonight I was talking to a young friend of mine named Hannah, and she's just now getting into the process of turning everything around. And I was marginally impressed at where she was, because when I was at that point, I was a hot mess. Still am, to a greater lesser degree. You should see me some days. I won't be posting a video on that. But what I will say that is, you can kind of step back and look at somebody else's situation, and then you kind of you reference your growth, your development when you were in that situation. And I was, man, I was torn. I still am. But what I have today is that those situations really don't define me, because I have to look at my sense of purpose. Knowledge of self, self-determination, all those good attributes that you try to develop. But talking with her, then I was using a reference point to some of my Uber passengers. Like one lady I had last night was getting out of a toxic and dysfunctional relationship with the guy she was supposed to marry. And I basically told her, at the end of the day, were you getting out of that toxic relationship? And she thought she was the one who really lost something, when I said no, he was the one that lost it. Because for all intents and purposes, she was everything that one person could, a single man would probably want in another woman. You know, and it's just interesting that I get the ability to have these conversations with a lot of people. Rather, I'm working one man working at the library, or if an Uber trip, or just people I meet just walking the street, or talking to the homeless people. Because I found out that I need to talk to everybody. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a different perspective, and drawing from that perspective allows me to possibly steal a few things and then add it to my quilt. Like, ever since 2012, I've been stitching a quilt together. And the more people I interact with, the more people I have conversations with, the more the stuff that I watch on YouTube or the books I read, I'm inspired by so many different people from different areas, and I'm always stealing something, and I'm adding a little patch to the quilt, Now, my quilt has been layered, several layers thick, but that helps, and I use that as, metaphorically speaking, as a way of, like, the first layer was the first layer of my foundation. Each layer that I lay down, it just solidifies my foundation that much more. You know, it's an amazing process for those who are adventurous enough or courageous enough to proceed. But you gotta ask yourself, if not me, then who? Because there's a lot of issues that happens in our lives that there's no check that somebody can write. They can't solve a problem. So basically, it comes down to us finding our own solution, and then applying that which we've learned over the course of our life experiences to that given situation. The one situation you might be in today But next year, if you're in the same situation, hopefully you've matured, and then there's a simple process that I've been thinking about. It's the evolution of the solution, because once we kind of like repair once we come out of some really bad situations, and let's face it, all of us have them to a greater or lesser degree. Mine might be different than yours. Most mine are probably a lot different from yours. But at the point though, it's possible to come out of it, removing the possibility blindness and saying to myself, it's possible. I love me today, only because it's expressed on my action. I also love you all today, and I can express that, and I hope to express the love in all my affairs. But when I look at the situation, I'm looking at my quilt, at my foundation. So when my life goes awry, I immediately go, by default, I go right back to the quilt. That quilt is the foundation, because that's where for me, that's where the key is. And I like to think that we all have something similar that we go to. Hopefully you don't go to no dysfunction, and hopefully you can have a conversation about whatever ails you. And I think a lot of problems that a lot of people have is their inability not to talk about it and just holding it close, because they don't want nobody to think that they're going through any type of situation that might not be quote unquote popular. But who cares about being popular? Because at the end of the day, what is popularity doing to you? Popularity is just for a moment. It doesn't last forever. But your perception of yourself is what lasts forever. And I like to express to everybody that I hope that you're working on your perceptions of yourself. If not, surrounding yourself with people who can talk up your good points instead of looking at your bad points. Because let's be honest, social media, TV, driving, if you're in Southern California driving, people are always just pushing you, or talking bad to you, or talking down to you. The music that a lot of people listen to, if you allow it to affect you like that, it's just entertainment. But I'm looking at everything outside of myself as entertainment as well, because you know what? It's never what happens outside of myself that ultimately matters. It's what happens inside. And this is an inside job, and all my problems are my opposition, but it's also an opportunity to see just what I can handle. Prior to 2012, I wasn't able to handle nothing. By default, I always went to booze. My solution was inside of a bottle of gin, vodka, gin, rum, whatever. But it never worked out for me, because at the end of the day, once I woke up, I had the same issue. So I would just repeat the same process again. Today, I'm so blessed and so thankful that I can look at situations how they come. And I have to remember that there's a song by Shinedown called Burning Bright. I used to read those lyrics and read the lyrics while listening to the song, and it actually helped me change my perception. There's another song called, obviously I'm a music lover, Black Star, Knowledge Itself. It's just an amazing thing to where you sometimes when you get confused in your situation, by going outside of yourself and getting some core things that just can hopefully build some hope and inspire me, or open myself up to the possibility of things working out my way. Like my friend Hannah, she was telling me that she's open to the possibility of things getting better. That's so much better than being rigid about anything, because I think change comes when we accept our situation, and then you don't fight the resistance of change, but you just go along with the flow without trying to control the outcomes, and just go through it. I mean, obviously there's a direct outcome that we all want, that obviously, but typically in my experience, I found that when I said that I just wanted it to be just like this and it had to be that way and that way, I was limiting myself, because when going through the process of achieving everything, man, I was blown away by what I had. Or sometimes I was put in a position to where I never even considered that. See, that I think that's one of the divine, the promises of going through the process. I'm a process person myself. I love a process because it's like taking steps. It's like going from A, B, and C. Everything is like math. It's a process. But at the end result of the process, there has to be something on the other side. But the real question comes, what sacrifices is the individual willing to make? Me, myself, I gave up everything. I walked away from my past life in order to have the life that I have today. I mean, it's not all peaches and strawberries, but you know what? It's a far cry better than the one I had. And that's all I really wanted for decades. But I didn't have the ability to want to fight for something. I didn't have the ability to want to do better. I didn't have the ability to say, you know what, enough's enough. I'm willing to completely immerse myself into something that might actually work for me. I've always told, like for me, there is no gray area. It's either I'm in or I'm out. So if I say something, my word is my bond, and my actions support my words. So it's there. You reach a point to where you see that what you want, but yet you can't develop the process. If you can't develop the process for yourself, well, then you need to start associating. Find some people, find some friends, find some groups on social media that can inspire you and push you, because I think we all need that. But I like to think that before that even happens, are you open to it? Like the young lady I told you was telling me about previously. Are you open to it? Are you kind of open to it? Because I think that if you're not completely open to it, that which you've always had is going to be paramount in your life until you make some changes. And what are those changes? I think life gets better when we only make a few adjustments. For me, because that's all I've done. I'm still the same person, I think, for the greater part of most. But I still have haters. I think we all have that. Because you know what? There's somebody looking at you and they want your life. And I'm looking at mine. I'm like, my life is based upon academics. So but I'm sure there's somebody that wants that. But the true question is, do you want the life that you're living today, or do you want something better? But if you want something better, what's your process? Mine is just, what's my sense of purpose? Where's my mission at? Because like I said in one of my other videos, I removed having goals, having dreams, or having ambitions to a set place. Now I just have a mission statement. My mission statement is try to be the best individual I possibly can, expressing love in all my situations, constantly being in academics of any type, even if it's in school or if it's in personal, studying on my own, learning computer programming, learning and just whatever physics. Like physics is my study right now. But I like to think that I don't know really what my end result is, because recently I've been questioning every move that I've made over the last couple of years. Should I have done this? Should I have done that? Should I have done whatever? And I have to say that financially I'm not where I should be as anybody, but that on the inside and what I've gained from those life experiences through that time, man, it's priceless, man. I've been driving people around for the last 3 years doing Uber. I worked the university that I work at. I worked in drug treatment. I worked in the restaurant business. And you know what? It's funny. It's because a lot of people come to me for advice, and it's like, well, I don't know why the hell you're asking me, but they do. And I'm impressed. Because I think that it's just based upon one person's perspective and looking at the situation and seeing what's the best approach for everybody. Truly blessed. So I think that wherever we end up is where we are. But the true question is, can you accept it, and can you be open to the future blessings that you may get? Because I think we're all going to get blessings, but open ourselves up to the possibility of more. And I think that's my purpose. My purpose is not so rigid or just really defined in a small way, but it's constantly enlarging itself. And that if I can constantly do something for the next human being to make their lives better, so much more the better. I would really like to work with juveniles, but I don't know. That's something I would like to do future, and maybe it just might happen. So we'll have to see. So I hope you got some quality and value out of this. going to start posting some up every day for the next few days because I have a lot of things in my mind that I wanted to express. And if you got any quality value out of this, please like and subscribe. Thank you and have a great night.